Okay, hello and welcome. I'd like to invite you back. It's lovely to speak to you, Nicola. Everybody, this is Nicola Powell, and I've invited her along today to speak to us because she's gone through quite a major transformation, coming from a cerebral kind of career in law to a very much heart-centered business at a point in her life when she was very successful. And I think it's encouraging to find out, Nicola, what it was that you did, how you did it, and what motivated you to make these big changes. So maybe we can just start with a little bit about where you were at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, Victoria, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to have a talk about this and to share some details. So yeah, I started my legal career about 15 years ago. So I went through the usual kind of training routes, qualified up in a big firm in the city. And I guess I'd say that my first leap of faith, if you like, or my first change from what I was doing to my next step was actually leaving the city. So I was working in a big corporate firm, and I actually decided that what I really wanted to do was perhaps serve a different type of client. And that, I guess, was my first heartfelt move from what some may say is, that's crazy. Why would you possibly leave a career that was on the path that it was, to do something different and to set up your own business? But you asked me what my reasons were for doing that. And I think, in all honesty, I could say it was my gut telling me that I needed to make a change. I needed to do something else that was more fulfilling for me as a person. There was probably an element of me that wanted to have something that I could create, because that's a really important value for me. So I set up and co-founded RG Solicitors, and that was where I've spent my last 10 years, growing that practice from a very small garage at home to ultimately a practice that had 3 offices across the country and over 100 staff. So it was an amazing decade. And a year ago, I decided again I was ready for a change.
That's interesting, because you started from scratch and built up such a great, almost, some people would call it an empire, but obviously a whole range of facilities and services there. That's amazing to do that with one small dream. And I think that's, again, shows that the entrepreneurial spirit is there, but you do have to work at it, don't you? You can start with virtually very little, as long as you have that goal. And then, so do you think, Nicola, you get itchy feet after a while when you succeeded at something? Do you get itchy feet, or were there other motivations?
It's a great question. And I don't know if I'd call it itchy feet, but certainly for me, I really listen to my heart, and I love to create new things. So we'd gotten to the point with RG where, as you say, thank you for your kind words on that, we'd created a practice that was successful, but my business partner and I had different visions as to where perhaps we would go with that. And I really wanted to serve the entrepreneurial market and do something different. And he was very committed to doing a certain area, committing to practicing a certain area of law. So we basically agreed that this was the time for me now to look at new pursuits. And I had in my mind for a long time, I'd had the idea of the autism plan. So maybe it's worth me making the link there, because otherwise that could seem a bit of a tenuous one. So from the legal career I had, and from having my own practice, I had built up a massively fantastic network through the Athena Network. One of my other roles is I'm regional director for Kent for the Athena Network. So for people who don't know, the Athena is an all-female networking group, and I meet the most amazing women doing that. And having that support around me really gave me the foundation to think, right, I've got this other business, this other, path I need to follow, and what do I need to do to make that a reality? So a big part of that was obviously working out how I could safely leave the practice. And the second part was really a leap of faith. For the last year, when I gave up my work at RG a year ago, I've been building, along with my partner Anna, and we've got another lady in the business as well. We have been creating a new business. And our vision and purpose and mission for that is to change the global perception of autism. The reason I've chosen that line of work, two reasons really. My daughter's got autism. She's 11 and she was diagnosed relatively recently. But through her diagnosis, I have learned so much about what available information isn't out there to support parents with what can be. It's an amazing, Ellie has taught me so much. She's an amazing, amazing girl. It has its challenges, and for parents who are new to autism, it's a really, really difficult space to navigate. So I wanted, and Anna wanted, to really create something that could help those parents.
That's quite amazing, because yes, it's a very rewarding and fulfilling goal to head for, but gosh, that must have been quite difficult, because as she's looking at teenage life, isn't she? And she's coming through quite a heavy part of her education. She's developing as a young lady, and there's mum throwing all the security away to move forward into something challenging, which is about her in lots of ways. And for you, that must have been quite daunting, because it's a whole new load of sets of skills, but it's also quite emotionally binding, isn't it? So that's amazing that you've even attempted it. I'm sure many people wouldn't. And it seems to be coming together nicely. Perhaps you'd like to tell us a little bit about what your goals are for this.
Okay, so we are due to launch the autism plan and my autism plan. So there's two separate offerings that we will have. One will be online courses. So for parents, carers, people who want to be able to get the information they need, but want to do it in front of a laptop or from their phone, don't want to go out having to meet people, that kind of thing. We'll basically be putting together everything that they need to know what to do next. The other part of the business is my autism plan, and that will be one-to-one support from autism consultants. Again, it will be done over Zoom, like you and I are talking now, and that will offer parents a more bespoke solutions, strategies and support. Both of the businesses will be ready to go at the beginning of November, so we're looking to launch at the beginning of November. And our goals, well, as I mentioned at the beginning, the goal is to change the global perception of autism, because there's still so many stereotypes. Whilst awareness around autism is really high now, and the National Autistic Society have done great work around that, most people know what autism is, but not many people know or understand what autism is and what difference and diversity it brings. So there's still a lot of the stereotypes around, it's either kind of the Rain Man, the savant, the genius, or, a child in the corner, non-verbal, rocking. They're the extremes. But autism is a spectrum. And if you met, for example, my daughter Ellie, you'd probably say to me, oh, that's a surprise that she's got autism. And that is a challenge that many parents have, because if the perception is that autism has a look, and then the other reality is that people with autism feel they have to conform to what society thinks is right or wrong, it really is a challenge for people. So that's what our mission is to raise awareness, change perceptions, and offer the support to people that really need it.
That's amazing. I much needed. I have worked with autistic people and children in the past myself, and obviously they're in friendship groups, etc. So there are women in some of my networks who are on the autistic spectrum and say so. So coming from that background, then how emotional was it? How difficult was it to actually get into that change? I'm sure it wasn't an easy ride. You didn't just step out from one into the other. What kind of challenges did you meet, and how did you overcome them, and the emotional side of it as well?
So in terms of the evolution, if you like, of the business, well, that's really developed. Initially, what we were looking at was one-to-one support, and then we evolved that to using digital media to offer a bigger solution for people. Emotionally, it was hard to leave what I'd set up and built and grown over the last decade. There's no doubt about that. And it really, I did have a period initially, which was, is this crazy? You know, I've left the security of an industry, a sector that was very safe. What next? And I think what you do in that situation is you build one step at a time. So you just keep your vision, you hold what it is you ultimately want, and then each incremental way you bring in what you need that can support you into making each step. Emotionally, yeah, the emotional, I guess when you're asking me that, I'm thinking, well, emotionally, that was stepping out of the hat that I was wearing, which was a senior partner and co-owner of a law firm, into what? What am I now? And I think it's really interesting how so many women, of course, certainly if we come from a corporate sector or from certain professions, you kind of wear that hat. And if you take that hat off, it's, well, where do I fit?
Yes, yeah, and that's a challenge for many women who are watching this now. Is how do they make changes? They know they want a better life. They may even have a mission, or they may need to find a cause, or wonder what next is something they haven't quite decided. But it is quite a choice, isn't it, between perhaps staying in a rut and continuing safely, because I did that in education. I stayed there for the security, looking at retirement, and then I decided I couldn't actually stay there. So it was a big sort of motivation to leave in the end, which was a reaction to a negative situation. But I'm thinking in yours, it was a reaction to a positive situation, but needing to grow. So some of the people listening, especially the women that are listening to this, will think, I'm either a person who's reacting or I'm a person who's growing, or maybe I'm both. So that would be quite helpful to them to know how you've come from kind of like a financially secure and cerebral, kind of very straight, fixed and limited position, to opening up to the whole spectrum, as you use the word, spectrum of autism and new business. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think there's another element to that for me as well, which was the sort of last 6 months I had at the law firm. Something wasn't sitting right, and we talk about our health and our wellness, and rightly so. I had whooping cough, and for 3 months I was unwell. And that, I think, it's so important that when those kind of things happen, or illnesses, or we stop and listen, because that was a real signal to me that something was not at ease where I was. So I know in the work that you do, a lot of it is around looking at your health and your wellness, but I would really encourage anybody, if they get something like more chronic or something that's a repeated illness, just listen to your body. What is your body trying to tell you?
I agree, totally agree. So thank you very much, Nicola, for talking to us today about your journey. We'd be very interested to know how the business pans out, and once you start launching, I'll invite you back on and we'll do some promotion for that, because it is yes, it's in popular mode at the moment. People are becoming aware, but it's just such a necessary function of that business and the services you're giving. And also, I'd quite like to talk to you about the Athena Business Networking, because a lot of women starting out again may well benefit from that. So I'd love you to come and talk to us again, if you will.
Thank you. I'd love to.
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. I was just going to say, if people wanted to get hold of you now, or actually ask you a question, or want to look at the website, I understand the main website is www.autisticplan.co.uk. Is that right?
It's actually www.autismplan.
Autism plan.
Yeah.
So, but it will be underneath in the description underneath. So if you're watching this video and you haven't caught that, it's www.theautismplan.co.uk. I'm useless at this, aren't I?
Don't worry. Well, it's also
And,
worth mentioning that the both websites for My Autism Plan, which is the one-to-one support, and the Autism Plan are both, we're still working on both of those. So if somebody would like to visit, great, but there may be changes that we'll be making ready for launch on the 1st of November.
But that's what's so exciting, and I know a lot of people do like to get in on the ground level. So I'll be promoting it. But also, if anybody does want to just send you a quick message or ask you a quick question, can they do that? Can they contact you?
Yeah, we've got a Facebook page, which is the Autism Plan. So you can find us on Facebook. If somebody wants to connect with me personally, nicola@autismplan.co.uk is my Autism Plan email address. And I'd love to hear from anybody.
Yes, well, that's excellent. And there may be people who are wanting to know something quite serious. So that'd be great if you could signpost them. Lovely. So thank you very much to Nicola. And that's Nicola Powell from the Autism Plan. And yes, we'll be speaking again, Nicola. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
And you. Bye-bye.
Bye.